It is unusual for Manchester United to release such in-depth footage of training as they did on Monday, showing plenty of action from Ruben Amorim's first day on the grass at Carrington. The 7-minute clip showed Amorim arranging the players available to him in his favoured 3-4-3 shape, and it's been pored over relentlessly since to decipher any clues as to what he may or may not do. It was clear that the 39-year-old was at the heart of the action at Carrington, taking on a hands-on role in a high-intensity session. There was also praise for one player who could be well suited to Amorim's demands, but has hardly a mention in the chat about the players, or might not win favour with the former Sporting boss. In one clip, Mason Mount latches onto a Tyrell Malacia pass, and you can hear Amorim shout, "Good movement, Mace," across the pitch. In the following clip, it is Mount himself scoring from another attack. After each one ends in a goal, Amorim is seen looking at his watch and demanding his players get going again. He wants his team to play with an intensity and aggression that wasn't always evident at United under Erik Ten Hag. Mount can deliver these characteristics, however, and he was impressive at the very start of this season, pressing on the front foot and showing an energy that really added something to the team's play. Unfortunately, it was a familiar story when Mount picked up an injury at Brighton. After a brief comeback in September, he returned to the treatment table before coming on against PAOK earlier in November. The 25-year-old is now back fit and back in full training and already impressing Amorim. It remains to be seen whether Mount has done enough to start for the first time in 3 months when United face Ipswich this weekend, but at the very least, he will be an option off the bench. Mount must make up for lost time in his Old Trafford career. He was signed for £55 million in the summer of 2023, with a further £5 million in add-ons, and was earmarked to be the connector in Erik Ten Hag's midfield three. He didn't stay fit enough for long enough to make that spot his own, and Kobbie Mainoo's emergence dropped Mount down the pecking order. There is a feeling that the former Chelsea midfielder is better closer to goal, and under Amorim he might find it hard to challenge for either of the two deeper midfield slots, which could be a battle between Manuel Ugarte, Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo. But the Portuguese coach does often pick two number 10s, and that could well be Mount's best position. In Ten Hag's 4-3-3, Mount had no chance of displacing Bruno Fernandes, but now there could be room for both of them to play a central, creative role behind a striker. That's an opportunity Mount can't afford to waste. He will face competition for that role, probably from the cast of wingers who might look to operate there now, such as Alejandro Garnacho, Marcus Rashford and Ahmad. It will be fascinating to see how Amorim fits enough attacking talent onto the pitch to make a difference, but you can see why he would like someone like Mount. At his best, he is a coach's dream, and there is a reason so many coaches have loved working with him. One of them was Thomas Tuchel, soon to take over as England head coach. With a fresh start on offer at club level as well, it's a big few months ahead for Mount. Victor Gyökeres should snub Manchester United for Arsenal. That is the verdict of Anders Limper, the Swedish midfielder who spent 4 years with the Gunners between 1990 and 94. Limper, 59, considers himself to be a long-time mentor of Gyökeres, 26, and says that one of Europe's most coveted centre-forwards should choose Mikel Arteta's side amid interest from a host of clubs across the continent. Gyökeres has been on fire at Sporting Lisbon this season under new United head coach Ruben Amorim, and the former Coventry man scored 4 goals in his national team's UEFA Nations League rout of Azerbaijan on Tuesday night. I know Gyökeres very well personally. I was a bit of a mentor for him when he played for Bromma Poikana, he and Ludvig Augustensen, so I've talked a lot about professional life with him, Limper told Football Direct. He's a fantastically hard-working forward who scores a lot of goals. If we at Arsenal were to buy Gyökeres, then he will definitely call me, but then to see Gyökeres at Arsenal, that would be crazy. His work rate, he runs like a madman. When it doesn't work out for Victor, he works his way into the game with uncomfortable runs. When other top forwards aren't doing well, they don't work so hard for the team, they save their energy. Victor never saves his energy. When things are a bit slow, he works his way into a game with runs, that's why it has gone so well. Limper also thinks that Gyökeres will have no issues adapting to life in the Premier League after successfully cutting his teeth at Coventry City in the Championship before heading to Lisbon. He added, "We have to remember that the Portuguese league is inferior to the Premier League, but when Manchester City came to visit Lisbon, he scored a hat-trick, so he's fully capable of scoring in England. He has played for Coventry and scored goals. He knows the English mentality. I think his next step is to play in the Premier League, and he can really choose which team he wants to play in." The November international break has officially concluded, and all Manchester United players have returned to Carrington to resume club duties. The training ground is once again buzzing with energy as the squad reunites under manager Ruben Amorim's leadership, preparing for the critical weeks ahead. The past 2 weeks saw many of United's stars represent their national teams across various competitions, delivering impressive performances while staying injury-free, a relief for the club and fans alike. Among those who stood out were Bruno Fernandes, who captained Portugal to 2 victories in the UEFA qualifiers, and Marcus Rashford, who scored a crucial goal for England in their friendly against Germany. Meanwhile, players like Casemiro and Alejandro Garnacho travelled back from South America, where they played pivotal roles for Brazil and Argentina respectively. The younger stars, including Kobbie Mainoo, remained at Carrington during the break, taking advantage of focused training sessions to refine their skills under the watchful eye of Amorim and his staff. Today's training session at Carrington marked the first time in 2 weeks that the entire squad gathered as one. Players were seen exchanging handshakes and laughs, creating an atmosphere of camaraderie and excitement for what lies ahead. Amorim wasted no time, kicking off the session with recovery-focused drills to ease those who had travelled long distances back into action. Positional play and pressing drills were the highlights of the day as Amorim continues to implement his tactical philosophy. Players like Fernandes and Casemiro were quick to adjust, demonstrating their leadership by setting the tone for others during the session. Young talents, including Mainoo and Garnacho, were also heavily involved, further signalling Amorim's trust in the next generation. With the international break behind them, Manchester United faces a busy schedule that includes Premier League clashes and European competition. Amorim and his team have little time to waste as they gear up for their next challenge. The squad's full availability will be a key asset as the Reds look to build momentum in the second half of the season. The successful completion of the international break and the squad's clean bill of health bring renewed optimism to the club. As the players regroup and refocus, fans can expect a united front heading into the crucial period ahead. Stay tuned as Manchester United returns to action, ready to take on their rivals with a refreshed squad and new determination. It would be a testament to Ruben Amorim's ability and communication should Manchester United hit the ground running in his first few matches as head coach. The team are having to get used to a radically different setup, with the Portuguese expected to adopt the 3-4-3 formation, which brought him so much success at Sporting CP. United have not played a back three at Old Trafford since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's final home match in 2021. Amorim's maiden game will come at Ipswich Town, by which time he will have only had a handful of days to meet the main bulk of his squad, with those on international duty set to return later this week. United are of course expected to beat Ipswich, but fans should not be dismayed if the team do not look free-flowing just yet given the context. One of the most severe role changes is at full-back, or rather wing-back. It is simply unknown how Diogo Dalot, Noussair Mazraoui, Luke Shaw and Tyrell Malacia will cope with the new demands in this system. Shaw has played wing-back for England before, but hardly ever in a 3-4-3 formation. Ideally, Amorim will wish to bring in players better suited to his tactics, especially at fullback. While it's been no surprise to see Bayern Munich star Alphonso Davies linked with United amidst Amorim's appointment. The flying fullback is so adept at working the flank that he has sometimes been played as a winger. Still only 24, the Canada international sees his contract in Germany expire this summer, and there are doubts over whether the club can convince him to renew. Several reports have linked United with an interest as a result. One, though, claims soon-to-be free agent Davies will command a £10 million signing-on fee. Although that's relatively hefty, United would snap Bayern's hand off if he was available for such a transfer fee, and they can speak to him about a move from January. Davies also offers longevity, which chimes in well with the young ages of Kobbie Mainoo, Alejandro Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund. If United can lure him to Old Trafford, then that is a real statement of intent. His arrival would particularly unlock the prowess of Garnacho. The Argentine is sometimes shifted out to the right due to being a victim of his own success. He has proven to be more penetrating there than Marcus Rashford and Antony, with Ahmad still on his journey to truly nailing down the spot. The problem is, Garnacho is better suited on the left. Every one of his 6 goals during the regular season have come from the left, with the 20-year-old often cutting a frustrated figure when swapped out to the opposite channel. But even out on the left, he has been left isolated at times. This is no fault of Garnacho's, but it does mean he has had to make his own luck, which underlines his excellent output in the left-sided role. Having Davies support him down that flank could see him elevate to new levels and become unshiftable. The academy product is the team's top scorer, and the flack he has been subjected to by a handful of critics has been greatly overblown. It was a shame to see him not wanting to celebrate his goal against Leicester City as a result of a minority of naysayers. Garnacho has a glittering career ahead of him if his full potential can be unlocked. For this to happen, he needs support at this stage of his journey, and Davies can be the catalyst to propel him forward into that future.